सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नारायणसमारम्भां आचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नाहं कर्ता कर्ता पूजाकरं यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तत्कृतं शम्भो प्रवाराहि। ओम नमो भगवते शिवानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते चिदानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते कृष्णानंदाय, ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमो नारायणाय, ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। Blessed, divine, immortal Atman, we are just trying to have a look at the vision of the Vedanta and the Upanishads. And then we heard that Vedanta basically can also be considered as one of the 6 astic darshana. That's one way, very commonly understood and taught like that. And as per some of the Vedanti Mahatmas also, they say it is beyond this system of thought. It is something which can be taken as the immediate means or the praman swatah siddha for realization of the self or the atma. When you call philosophy, then you have some analogy, you try to arrive at something. But here, entire Vedanta Shastra is about the revelation of one's own nature, for which it is swatah praman. You don't require any other praman. So that is why they also call that it is beyond a system of philosophy. Whatever we may call it also one of the astic darshana. That's also fine, no problem with that. Right? So we saw that day that Vedanta is something which unfolds the unity of the self, the unity of the Brahman as we call, the unity of the consciousness that we call, and that is the quintessence, that is the jewel, that's the epitome of the Indian philosophy. All these things we are trying to see on that particular day. Now, what constitutes Vedanta? Vedanta is Brahma Vidya, that is science of emancipation. Science of emancipation. Moksha Shastra. Now, what is exactly meant by that? Vedanta or Brahma Vidya. We say Bhagavad Gita also, correct? We say Yoga Shastra, Brahma Vidya like that we say. So Brahma Vidya, as we say, that is the knowledge of the supreme essential reality, which is one and non-dual. This is the exact meaning of Upanishads also, Brahma Vidya also. Now, which are the texts which constitute Vedanta? We call it Prasthana. So this particular message of the supreme reality or oneness of the reality is basically obtained from 3 set of books, 3 set of scriptures. And which are they? Starting from Upanishad. So we'll also try to see a little more in detail what Upanishad means. So Upanishadas is the end part of Veda, and that's why they are also called as Vedanta. And as we all know that Veda, they are not the creation of any particular individual. They are not even creation of any rishis. What are they? Rishis are seers. Rishis are drishta. So because of their intense austerities, tapasya and the meditation, the knowledge was revealed to them. And who revealed that? The knowledge came to them through the mouth of Brahmani. Through the mouth of Brahmani. So that is why they are called Apaurushya. And that particular knowledge as a product of their intense austerities was revealed to these rishis of the yore, and that came through the mouth of Hiranyagarbha or Brahmani. So Vedas, they say, is just the breath of the Ishvara. It is not the creation of any individual. Right? And the rishis are the seers, they saw it. And that is how the Vedas have come. So Vedas is the most ancient and the most dependable, most authentic source of knowledge that we have in our country. And as you know, Veda, there are several parts in that. We have got Sanhita also. Then we have got Aranyaka, Brahman, and the end part is called as the Vedanta or the Upanishad. So I am also not so much well versed. I have not myself studied Vedas. But I have learned the background of that. They are called 4 essential Vedas. And each Veda has 8 0. So not all these Vedas branches are there available right now. But the end part of this each Veda will be called as Upanishad. So like that, if there are 1180 branches of Vedas, that means there will be 1180 branches of Upanishad. Cream of the Vedas is the cream of the Vedas. And the cream of the Veda reference enables us to know scriptures which reveal this particular knowledge of the supreme reality. They are called as Upanishad. Right. Now yesterday also we were trying to see that the quintessence or the main part of the teaching is Brahmatmekya. And into which the creation ultimately emerges. This is referred to as the Brahman. So that supreme reality called Brahman is the ultimate truth or the ultimate reality from which the whole creation has come, in which the whole creation subsists, and in which the supreme Brahman, by its own power called Maya, which is the mysterious, imponderable power of Bhagavan. And Maya is Bhagavan Shakti only. It is not something always negative. You should not think that way. So in association with that Maya, Ishvara became. But that is Sagun Sakar. That is Sagun Sakar. So Parabrahma is Nirgun Nirakar, and then comes this Sagun Sakar, Ishvara. And the whole creation came into being, and Ishvara is the one who created the whole thing. That's the whole thing. So now, we understand Brahma and Ishvara as almost same for all our mental conceptions, correct? Because Brahma, when we say, is Nirgun Nirakar, Ishvara, when we say, normally called as Sagun Sakar. And when it came into creation, these words came Sarvyapak, Sarvagna, and Sarvasaktiman, like omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. So Brahman, which is Maya, became Ishvara, which is the cause for the creation that we see. Now, there are 2 types of creation that come. One is the Jagat and one is the Jiva. Now, Brahman explains that this Vedanta explains that Brahma and Jiva are same. So what exactly they want to say? We have the idea about the Brahman. No, that Ishvara is capable of everything and the whole thing has come into being. But what is our problem? When we say Brahma and Jiva are same, or Brahmatmekya, when we say, what is the problem? We regard Brahman as Paroksha. We regard Brahman as Paroksha. We don't think it has something to do with me, or I am a part. That's the very big problem. So our Jiva is finitude, finiteness. Jiva doesn't think I am not perfect. Jiva doesn't experience that I am pervading everywhere, just as Brahman is pervading. So we can accept that Ishvara is pervading everywhere, Sarvyapak. But Jiva or Atman is Sarvyapak, that is what we do not realize. That is not our inner experience. So here the whole goal of Upanishad and Vedanta, when you say that Jiva and Brahma are one, or Jiva and Ishvara are one, individual soul and universal soul are one, not as a Upadhi. Upadhi is Maya, Yoga, Ajnana Upadhi, correct? But here, that the individual soul is not finite. Individual soul is not confined to this physical body of 5 or 6 feet, or mind and intellect with some limited capacity, or it is confined to this particular psychophysical frame. But this Atman is all pervading. Sarvabhutastha Atman, Sarvabhutani Atman. That is what Gita 6 chapter 29 is very important. So our big problem is that this particular jiva or the individual soul, we consider it as confined to this particular body cage, and it is not pervading outside. That is our problem, that is the limitation. And for Brahman, we know it is all pervasive, omnipotent, omniscient, everything is there, but it is paroksha. it is not me, I don't think that is I. That is not me, that is some other reality. So here, the entire essence of Vedanta and Upanishada is to say that this individual soul is not finite, but it is all pervading, and who is well versed in the scripture, who also has got the intimate experience, he will be able to guide us. Now, how does he guide us? Because it's a very subtle subject, and the one which is experienced by yes, Brahman realizing is I. We know the Brahman, but Brahman realizing is myself. How do we realize it? So they say that there are three prakriyas for it. The one prakriya is called as Karya Karan Prakriya. The second prakriya is called as Avastha Traya Prakriya. And third method is called as Panchakoshivay. That is called as is Jagat. Karya is, and that is known to us. So through that we want to go further and further. And that is part of the cause effect. Even in modern science also, we have got this cause effect analysis, correct? So Karya Karan Prakriya is there. So we see, that day also we saw, that even if you look at the Jagatam, or even if I look at myself comprising of this body, mind, intellect, and one is negation. So when you say only Brahman is the reality, and when you want to attain that, and we see something other than that, we see the Jagat is other than that, or body other than, no, this Jagat is also Brahman, this particular individual self is also Brahman. This is called as superimposition. So the imposition of the lower reality is the Jagata that we see, and that Brahman is I. That Brahman is not different from us. This is called as Karya Karan Prakriya. The first thing is, this Jagata, manifested world, is not different from Brahman. That Brahman is not different from I. That means, I am the cause of the manifested Jagat. Jagat have got independent existence. I means Atma, pure Atma. Right? So Jagat cannot exist by itself unless there is support or substratum of the Atma. But Atman exists by itself. So like that, its existence is given as Satta, but it is a dependent existence. So ultimately Jagat is resolved into Atma. So you analyze the effect or the Karya and go deeper and deeper, and ultimately you come to this substratum that is we call it. Right? So we do not know Brahman. How do you know Brahman? We know Brahman as reflecting in our conscience every morning, every day we get up. We get that feeling, that yes, I am. So Prata Swarami, Radhisan Swaratma. So that Brahman is experienced as I, pure I. Right? So first is Karya Karana Viveka, where the material cause, Satchidanand is there. But then we say that names and forms are transitory. In that sense, the Jagat is Mithya. So it is not the ultimate truth. Again we say that Brahman is Mithya. But Jiva is not that way Karya. Jiva is Brahman itself. That's the most fundamental message, that Jagat is the Karya, but Jiva is not the Karya. Jiva is Brahman itself. And that Brahman somehow chooses to make experience as I, and that has no problem. But only when that I assumes identification with this apparatus psychophysical, only then it becomes Jiva. And if it loses identification, then that is an Atman Prada. That is the first prakriya. In fact, it is a detailed thing in Chandogya Upanishad. But just I am giving a little glimpse. Then you can study yourself and maybe you can go deeper and deeper into that as and when time comes. So this is Karya Karana Viveka. Second is Avastha Traya Viveka. That is basically there in the Mandukya Upanishad. If time permits, I just want to give some glimpse on that today also, because I think that you have not studied. But if I missed out the time, at least let me tell you the essence. Mandukya Upanishad talks about, as I said, it is a Lord of water, Varuna Devata. That is assumed the form of Manduk, frog. And then that is giving the message in Anushtup channel. That is talking all about the Om. And they say that Om is the ultimate truth. Sagun, Sakar, Nirguna, everything is explained by the Om. But before we get into that right now, it talks about these three Avastha, Traya, Viveka. Now we all know that we are experiencing three states of experience in Avastha. One is Jagrat, the living state. One is swapna, that is dream state, and third thing is sushupti, that is nidra avastha. So the three states of experience are there. So which of this is real? Even the Raja Janaka also had this problem, and he had discussed it in his Sabha, and the Ashtavakramuni came and explained to him. Now, the Nirgud Avastha is there in this Mandukya Upanishad. So, we have got three states of experience, correct? Now, who are we? Are we representing which of these states? Which represents our real self? Let us ask that. So, is waking state real? Is waking state real or no? As I said earlier also, first there is superimposition. So on that Brahman, these three states are superimposed. It is not that they are different from that, but they are not Brahman itself. Why waking state is not real? Because the waker and the waking world, waker and the waking world ceases to be when we are in the sleep or when we are in the dreaming state. So anything which is truth, eternal truth, has to be there all the times. Anything which is additional may come and go. Adjoint can come and go, but the Swarupa will always remain. So if this waking state and the waker was a true reality, it would exist all the time. It doesn't happen. So it cannot be taken as the absolute truth. Relative truth, yes, it is there. And then comes the dreamer and the dream state. So here what? Dreamer is the individual based upon his experiences and the vasanas during the daytime. You know, he wants to enjoy that. He wants to manifest them, what he could not do or what he would like to again. The same thing comes to that particular individual in form of dream. So here there is no soul sarira, but you have got only sukshma sarira. And senses also are not there. And then they say swapna is a jiva sushti. Swapna is a jiva sushti. This sushti, what we call is Ishwar sushti, is created by the Ishwara. So it has got a greater reality as compared to the dream state. The dream state is an individual's creation. God doesn't do that case, an individual's creation. But there also, Sapna also has got a lot of technical significance. But here for a very simple thing to understand, that dreamer and the dream world ceases to be as soon as we pass on to the deep sleep or as soon as you get it in the morning. So dreamer and the dream state also cannot be taken to be the ultimate reality. If they were ultimate reality, they would exist all the time. That doesn't happen. And Tripala Vishtati Kisat, so that is also not true. And then ultimately we go to deep sleep. And we go to the deep sleep. That is the most blissful experience that we have. And we also call Nidra Samadhi Sthiti, we call. Correct? So what is that? The way we do not have this physical body and even this subtle body, no mind, no intellect, no chitta, no ahankara also. But they are not destroyed. They are not destroyed. They are there in subtle form, in seed form. They are there. They merge in Ajnana. All these things have come from Ajnana. So that this physical body and more importantly subtle body, this mind, intellect, chitta and ahankara, they merge into Ajnana. So they are not seen. And why we are getting headaches in the sleep? Because we have got no distraction from the body or no distraction from the mind. So when the body is paining, that pain will not be felt when we are in deep sleep state because body has also merged into Ajnana Stana. And sometimes you are ignorant, happy like that also. So that mind is also not a cause of problem. That mind intellect is also merged. And ahankara also is merged into that karana, Ajnana, in a seed form. And that is how you experience with this. And it is also called as Anandamay portion. It is also called as the Anandamay portion. But as Mahapurushas explained, this is not the real Ananda of the Atman. This is basically a negative side of the Ananda in the sense you are not having any distractions. You are not having any problems, that kind of a silence, that kind of a bliss. There are no interruptions, And then because there is no interruption, the Atman is not exactly experienced because you are still in the Jnana Avastha. The difference between a Samadhi and Nidra is a basic difference, correct? In case of Nidra, Sushupti, what will happen? That we are experiencing negative bliss because there is no problem from mind, intellect, body. We are quite happy, everybody likes it. But then there is ignorance. So, a subtle, it is called that Ajnani Samadhi, that this Ajnana, which is the cause of the whole creation, is itself destroyed. So whenever he reads and he rises from that Samadhi, that bliss will not go away. That bliss will not go away. Because that Ajnana, which was the root cause of all destruction, just died down. So when a yogi or a Vedanti from a Samadhi rises, that bliss will persist forever. But in case of the sleep, you will again come back. But sleep is an indication every day to us that this is your nature and you try to do that. Now here, the main point of what we are trying to see, how does it give the message of Brahman? That's the main essential we are discussing. Avasthatraya Vivek. Correct? So Avasthatraya Vivek, what we call here. So, what is common in these three states? That is what should be Brahman. Brahman should be what is common because Brahman is something which exists everywhere. So Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. And when one thing is there, other two are not there. Right? So what is common? And that is why when we get up, we get a feeling that, oh, it was a wonderful sleep, and I got a bliss like that. And I am very happy about it. I don't know what was there. Because Ajnana was there. So Ajnana was there, so you don't know that Swarupa. But bliss was experienced that. Right? So the Sakshi or the consciousness is common in all these three. And that is called as Turi Avastha. And that is the Brahman. That is the entire message of Mandukya Upanishad, also in that sense. Correct? That these three see Avastha. Now, fourth Avastha is not there actually. It is not the fourth Avastha or the fourth state. But why it is called fourth? Just to differentiate from these three, it is referred to as the fourth. So, that the invariable consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma also we call it, right? Prajnanam Brahma. The consciousness is Brahman. Then all other consciousness is related. Physical consciousness, mental consciousness, intellectual consciousness, right? But this is the absolute consciousness. Prajnanam Brahma what we call it. So, but consciousness which is common in dreamer, waker and sleeper, that is referred to as the Brahman. There is another Kriya, and if we read Mandukya Upanishad, so beautifully it's explained, and more happiness, joy will come to you as you go deeper into that. This second Prakriya, which is called as Avastha Traya Prakriya. And then comes the third, which is called as the Panchakosha Viveka. That's very common in Taittiriya Upanishad. Correct? And very commonly people misunderstand, that this Atman, everybody is covered by, 5 different layers. Just as you got a lamp and then covered with 5 different clothes, and you remove the clothes, the bulb will shine. That's not the whole thing. So Atman is our pervasive surface. It will pervade everywhere. It is not covered by something like that. And why do we call it the kosha? Kosha, but that's what we call it kosha. So because several instruments or the organs which are there, and once that Atman identifies itself with that, as if it becomes a cover, as if it becomes a kosha. That is why it is called as a Panchakosha. Otherwise, they are not physical sheets. That you have got the Atman, you surround it by 5 different sheets and then you open them, you see. That's not the message. We have 5 different parts of our personality are there, with which we identify, and that is why we don't see the Atman. That's why they are called as kosha. They are kosha. And the first thing is Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha, physical body. The physical body, as we know, is made up of the 5 gross elements, correct? And Pancha Mahabhuta. So it all come from that. And ultimately, when a person dies, this particular body again merges into that. So that is what Annamaya Kosha. And initially, Upanishad says, Brahma is Anandamaya Kosha, this Annamaya Kosha, like that they will say. So this is superimposition. Why? Because body is not Atman. But body is not different from Atman at the same time. If the Atman is not there, nothing will come into being. So body is not different from Atman. Correct? Atman is there in the body, but body is not Atman. Body has got a dependent existence. And Gurudeva also when they say, not this body, not this mind, immortal self, you are immortal Atman. So not this body, what does it mean? You are not only this body. Actually, You are not only this mind. You are not only this intellect. This body is there. You is because the view has got the satta. Satta and spurti is coming because of the Atman. But then the other parts, Anatman which is there, that is not you like that. So that is Annamaya Kosha first, Upanishads say, that is Brahman. And then they say, no, Annamaya Kosha, this is a limitation, then you are Pranamaya Kosha. And the prana, the breath which you take from the outside, air, that is not prana actually. Breath, air that we take is not prana. Then why this pranayama? Always we control this breath. The inhalation, exhalation, rupa, this, all this prakriya you are doing regularly, pura nature, kumbhak like that. So why? It is connected with breath. The prana is not breath per se. Prana is the vital energy. Prana is the physiology of the body which is there. All organs in the body work because of the prana shakti. And if that prana is not there, in small muscles also will not move. You get different neurological disorders. So prana is that which gives power to the entire system. Then why do we call only breath as a prana? Or when we do pranayama, why do we only regulate the breath? This is a very good explanation by Swami Vivekananda in his book on Ragyoga. And he says here that breath, process of breathing to a physical body is like a flywheel of a machine. I hope this is an engineering word, but mostly everybody knows what is flywheel, correct? So when your motor is there, then it gives motion to some particular wheel. And that wheel transmits the motion to all other wheels. That is called as a flywheel. So it is not only moving by motor, but the flywheel gives motion to all other wheels. So likewise, breath is working as a flywheel. And as we know, because of that breath, we get the oxygen that's supplied to all organs and tissues, and because of the oxygen, the whole process of metabolism starts. So this breath, what we take, prana, what we take, external breath, this prana is, that is contracting the whole entire body. That is why this pranayama is control of the breath. But actually it is the control of the entire pranic system in the body. The prana energy moves uniformly like that, not just breath. Breath is the starting point. So then the pranamaya course, they say, and later on they say, what pranamaya course? You feel I am thirsty, I am hungry. Correct? That I need to, why do you say this? Because I identify myself with a prana. And pranamaya course is more subtle than annamaya course. Annamaya course is gross body. Pranamaya course is a part of subtle body, sukshma sharira. So they say you are pranamaya course. And later they will explain you are not this also, and then they will take your manomaya course. So we identify ourselves with the mind. So I become happy, I become unhappy, I become agitated, I am quiet sometimes. When you say sometimes I am happy, no, I was just in a good mood. How do you say this? Because somebody saw that you are good. When you say I am happy, it means what? There is some seer to tell you that I am happy or I am unhappy. So there is a seer. So they say not also manomaya kosh. And what do they say? Not vijnanamaya kosh. And vijnanamaya kosh is, as that also I said, the doership. That is doership. So when I say that I am the, whenever you have got a sense of associating yourself with the doer with something, that is where the vijnanamaya kosh comes. All kinds of activity, what we do here and talk or I am listener, this, that comes because of vijnanamaya kosh. So that is how we feel we are that. And then they say you are not even this. They explain you are beyond the anandamaya kosha. And anandamaya kosha, as we said, that is the experience. When the bhokta is the anandamaya kosha. And the different grades of happiness, that is moda, pramoda, like that. The 3 grades are there. And then they say that is also not that. You are the basis of anandamaya kosha. The anandamaya kosha has emanated from you. So that supreme reality leads to. So these are the 3 prakriyas. Then we can read a little bit more in details. But then Karya Karan Prakriya, that we separate all the causes, all the effects, and we go to the causeless cause. Then Avasthatraya Prakriya, that is all in this Mandukya Upanishad. It talks about what is Brahman. They call Chatushpada. And they call Atma has got 4 paths. It's Jagrit, Swapna, Sushupti are 3 paths, and 4th path is this. And they consider it as Om. So when you say A, U, and O is monosyllable, it has got 3 matras. So A, U, M. And then there is a point in there. So whenever we chant Om, we should always get a feeling that A, U, and Mo. When I put 3 matras, A means I am transcending my physical body. When we chant U, U means I am transcending my subtle body. And when I chant Ma, means I am transcending my causal body. The point which finally remains is that what we call it Turiya Avastha or causeless cause. The entire process of superimposition and negation. So whichever way we go, ultimately the goal is we should be able to ultimately reach to the supreme reality, and that is called Brahman. And what is a great solace, the greatest inspiration that we have, Mahaprabhu, you cannot think of any great gift or bonus from anybody, saying that the seeker is a sought, whom you are seeking is your own self. The greatest blessing, the greatest gift which God has given. And that is Ma Gayatri, who is the mother of Vedas. We may offer our prostrations at the feet of Mother, at the feet of Brahma Vidya Acharyas, and the feet of Gurudevas, who has revealed this knowledge not just in the indirect manner, but in the direct, in the Prokshanabhuti, as their innate experience. And their wish is that this has to happen to everybody. Because everybody is nobody is no finite, everybody is Atman in essence, and everybody is not different. So may this be revealed to all by removal of the veil of ignorance. That is the vision, that is the blessing, and that is the expectation also of the great wishes. And as a sadhaka, as a human being, the world human being, and more in association with this kind of spiritual institutions, God and Guru should enable us to be able to attain this supreme reality. That is our humble supplication to the supreme feet. Om Namo Narayana. The sayings in that, what is that? See, this three matras. When you say Om, we chant as Om is syllable, monosyllable, correct? Single letter. But it is seen three matras. A, U, and M. O, U, and M, like that, correct? So when we say A, U, and M, Om, when we say, we can feel that we are putting in three matras. So when the O part is there, A, U, Mo, O. So O is over, we see that we have moved beyond the physical. When we say U, U, means we have moved beyond our subtle body. And when I chant Mo, means I have transcended my causal body. So when I transcend my gross subtle causal body, what remains? What remains is I as the Atma. So that is how Om should be. Krishnanji Maharaj in one of his books on meditation Mandatum has revealed, that Om is not a word later, but when you chant this, inner process should be this, that I am moving, transcending my three bodies to reach to myself. So every time I complete Ma, means I am with myself. That is the way we should explore. That's what it's saying. Om Namo Narayana. Thank you. May God and Gurudev bless ever be for us. That is my number of prayer. Pranam. Thank you for the service that we have been able to share with you. Now we will honor our Professor D.